Hi everyone, Trina Phoenix here. And I just had some stuff that was on my mind that I kind of wanted to go over with you guys because it's just weighing really heavy on my heart that this is definitely maybe a direction that many of us want to look into and join together in our hearts and in our minds to create some beautiful new things. Just recently, Magenta Pixie came out with a video about the three ways, and then Lauren Eisenhower just did a video, and it was basically a warning to the cabal. And when I saw her do that, I was just like, oh, Declaration of Sovereignty, Laura, you go. It was so powerful and it was so beautiful. And she's a very, very wise woman because what she did was extremely powerful. She made a public proclamation for many to see and witness her declaration of her own sovereignty. And that is profoundly powerful. Especially too because she understands what sovereignty truly is. And her understanding of that probably took many years for her to acquire all that information. I know it did for me. Now this information is readily available and many can get a hold of it and pursue the wisdom of what is sovereignty and why would you want sovereignty and how does sovereignty come about. When you're sovereign, literally the definition of sovereign means that nobody can rule over you because you are one with God and therefore there's nothing above God. So it also, I mean, with that rulership over self requires great responsibility. So it doesn't mean, oh, I'm king of all and I can do whatever I want. No, it brings forth a level of great self-responsibility. And through that responsibility, you act in accordance with divine law, and it's benevolent in its action and cause because it is the opposite of service to self. It is primarily always functioning first and foremost in the service to other polarity. So Laura's claiming and declaring the sovereignty and how important it is to declare your sovereignty and stand up for your own self and your own personal body and your own personal rights, and simply stating that you do not comply. There's many things that are coming in to the forefront that many of us are definitely not in resonance with and do not want to be a part of our experience. So with that, there has to be a powerful call to change it, and that must come from us. So for both of these beautiful light workers to come forward with such similar information with me, it rang my heart as a deep bell of truth. So Magenta Pixie, oh, thank you for this message. It is so, I think, so desperately needed. I think you were absolutely accurate. I think the 9 explained it beautifully, saying there's no time for a book. This information needs to come forth now. Oh, I do believe that the time is critical for this. So many of you that this resonates with, oh gosh, please get together and let's see if we can get together as another collective and do some kind of sovereign invocation to reclaim and evoke sovereignty to come into this planet and into this matrix and into this timeline. This is something that I know that we can do. And Laura, the wisdom of her declaration is a really great place to start for many of you if you don't know how to declare sovereignty and what it kind of means to be declaring your sovereignty. It's identifying that you understand the false matrix that you've been placed into. You understand the difference between English and legalese. You understand the fiction system and the all capitalized fiction status that you've been placed into through these contracts that were placed upon you at your birth. And this is why you were bonded and your birth certificate is issued on bond paper. All of these were things that most of us were never aware of. And oh boy, if this is new information for you, hold on, it's rough. It's a tough thing to process, to find out that you were literally brought into bondage, and you were capitalized on, and you were stamped and marked and placed into a chattel category, and you're literally being sold as a security on the security market. And that's why the stock market traders are called traders, because they're trading and selling us. So, like I said, words, they're very powerful, and they really do mean a lot. And Magenta was talking about the dragon and the importance of the dragon. And it was so funny. I was discussing that today with Wayne Steiger. And I was discussing how I think that we all come from the dragon. And I know a lot of people have probably thought that was crazy, but I've seen this. I've literally seen, I think the dragon is literally one of the first creator beings that could transmute from etherical plasma substances and actually create matter. So the dragon, I think, was the implementation of the Dan codes into a material physical construct. So I think that all matter was birthed from a cosmic egg that comes from dragon. And I think this is why we see the Dogons and the dog star, and dog and God are the same word in reverse of each other. And dog star is Orion, and that constellation, which is the belt of Orion, which is the alignment of all the pyramids on the earth. There's a lot to this. So the dragons, the bondage, the serpents, the contracts that we were placed upon without knowledge or consent. And in contract law, if there's not full disclosure and if there's not consideration given, there's no contract, because the contract is not, it doesn't have the three elements that are required for a contract. So part of sovereignty is understanding what was done to us as a human species through religion, kings, politicians, corporations, and eventually it has all now been transferred into what people would call commercial code. So our world now is being run by not the laws given to us by the creators, not the laws given to us by God. We are now being forced to comply to false codes, which were initiated through maritime law, which eliminated our common law and our common law rights, and which also suspended and eliminated and disabled through corporate status of the United States of America. We lost our Constitution. So the Federal Reserve and the bankers took over our nation a very long time ago. And through this commerce system, we've had fractalized banking systems, and now the fractalized banking systems, they only have one option. It is to implode upon itself through debt, and that debt is being acquired through the interest that they charged. So in all actuality, the debt that has been incurred through this nation and by this nation is completely 100% the debt of the corporations. It has nothing to do with you as a sovereign. It has nothing to do with you on a corporate level, because in all actuality, it's all fiction. The corporation is a corporate entity. Corporate entities are not human beings. So a corporation doesn't have a voice unless you give it one. And the only reason they could give it a voice was by turning you into a corporate slave. So through silent employment agreements, you've been bonded and served up as a slave, a bond servant, clearly stated in the Bible that you are a bondservant. That's what this means. This goes all the way back to ancient Rome. That's why Jesus and Joseph and Mary had to travel to Nazareth, and they had to go into the city because they had to go pay their taxes and complete their census, which was a counting of the people. They had to go through the registration process. This has been going on for thousands of years. Thousands. So this was my interpretation of the Lord when he showed me the whole Jesus person getting killed and crucified and the whole thing. He showed me that this did happen to a human being, and that this human being was a very enlightened, special being, and part of an upgrade to our genetic code was through his birth, because he could hold these codes and these vibrations, and through his wisdom and his learning, because he was fully human, just like we were, but he literally, like we have indigo children and crystal children, he was like an indigo child born 2,000 years ago, so probably like the first violet ray beings to come down into flesh. But there were others before him, Mithra and different beings. They were expressing in those beautiful higher frequencies of the ascended masters. So there's been many beings throughout history who have come down and taught beautiful, amazing things to very unenlightened human species as we were trying to grow and evolve, because literally we were wiped. We have amnesia. We were mingled with beast, animal. So, we're dealing with an integration of matter and spirit, and I think the soul is the intermediate between those that make them come together and form what we are as a human being. We need those templates from the solar construct, and we need the templates of the architect, the main master architect, that is the spirit part. And that part is the immortal, eternal part. And I'm learning a lot about the soul, and there's so much to it. And, it's hard to know what's right, what's wrong. Go with your guts. Go with what you know. Do your own investigations. Work with what resonates within you. Because all of us are going to come to different truths at different times, in different ways, and different means and modes. And that's the fullness of creation, because God's eye is every one of our eyes. And we're all experiencing a different life. So God's perspective is all of us in one collective experience. So everything that's existing is part of it. That's how we can forgive it. And that's how we can come into balance with it. Because when you truly understand, it's truly a part of you as a God creator, part of God. So as a part of that, you are connected to the experience of the whole. And because you're separated out of the whole or the fullness right now, experiencing in flesh as a human, separated out of source, so you could experience for source, through this process, we forget what we are. We forget who we are. We forget that we are all that is. So within that all that is all evil, all darkness, all of it. It's the other part of you. It's the polarity. That's why people are like locked into the whole, the savior thing, and it's all love and light, and it's all this. No, it's not. It is dual. This is dual. This whole system is dual. I'm pretty sure we even live in a binary sun system. Again, showing you the duality of creation in this part of creation. So duality doesn't exist everywhere, but it's definitely present here. And that is a gift for you to evolve as a soul. So your soul is evolving in this aspect, in this journey. And I think most everybody who's here right now, we are star seeds, and we were called. We heard the call from Tiamat. And we were literally called to rescue her daughter, which is Earth. And Magenta brought that up, and I was like floored, because that's what I've always been shown, was Tiamat gave birth to the Earth, and the Earth is the daughter. And I was always shown too that this is the story of Demeter and Persephone, the Greek story of the goddess, and the daughter who got kidnapped and brought down into Hades. And that was through the war and the collision of duality, the collision of negative and positive polarities coming into the same place, creating a new creation. And that would be the third dimensional earth realities, because there's many of them from what I've been shown. So to me, it was beautiful because when Magenta was talking about the dragon and the lion and the unicorn, I've been shown that too. And the way it was shown to me was in the Trinity as well. But it was shown to me a little bit different. And I think it's beautiful because we all get different concepts of kind of the same things. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal. So, because it's all going to resonate a little bit different with everybody else. And you got to go through your own system and say, okay, this works for me, this doesn't. Because we're all expressing different parts of creation. So there's different attributes in you that are not in me, and the same thing for me within you. And the parts of me that I'm expressing, the parts of you are hidden within me. And the parts of you that are expressing, the parts of me are hidden within you. So that's how it's been shown to me. And within that Trinity, I was shown the dragon and the lion and the unicorn. So I was shown, like Magenta, that the dragon is one of the foundational plasma beings that created matter. They can transmute energy. It's the serpent energy of the dragon structures. It creates the energetic grid lines. It creates all, like the earth, all the planets, and it's done through the dragon energies, the energy lines, the DNA, the codes, and the energy lines of creation. They literally come out in third dimensional matrix as lines. In the higher dimensionals, I see them coming out as spirals. So, but here I see lines. And multiple layers of matrix on top of each other as well. I see that too. So they were showing me that the unicorn is like what Magenta was talking about. It's the Excalibur. It's the spirit. It's that spark, that download, that instant energy that gets downloaded into the body. And then the lion is the processor. The lion is the mother energies, the part that puts the images in the mind and starts to put the story together in your head. Like Magenta was explaining, you have to process these things in layers. And when you get these downloads, you'll get a lot of information in a second. But to write it all down or convey it, it could take 3 hours, 3 days, 3 years, 3 centuries. This is how much information you can get in these downloads, which she explained it beautifully. It was like a flash of light. And through these images and these little pieces of information you get, one little piece of information, it's like you almost get to become that information. So you have volumes of data imprinted in this little fractal packet of light. That's the best way I can explain it. And she was explaining it as like a burst of light, and it was an awareness. And that's a great explanation. And I thought that was beautifully put the way that she spoke of that. So then again, we look at the Excalibur. The Excalibur also too is shown to me as the spinal cord, the sword. It's your sword because it's your autonomic nervous system. It's how you process word and image in this construct. So the sword is like how the energy comes in through the body. That's why it's your power, because you can get direct divine inspiration and power. Like a mother when her child's trapped under a dresser, they can throw it like it's toilet paper. That's that Excalibur. That's that sword within you. And through the chemicals of the mother, the adrenaline starts and all these chemicals fire within your being and you become Excalibur. So this is what I was always shown, and I did see that this was the symbol of the Lion. The Lion of Judah is Excalibur. And so I was like, wow, that is just beautiful. And she was seeing the dragon was the third, and that's the creation of all of it. It's through the dragon, through through the lineage of the genetic codes, the DNA, the energy lines, the magnetic grids, the access, the vertical access is how you get to the galactic sun. She just gave you guys the map on how to fully ascend out of here, a straight line to the great central sun is beyond the Milky Way, and she was getting there, but she didn't quite get there. But they literally said this is through the vertical axis, which makes sense because I've always seen creation as the star of Isis, the 8-pointed star, and it's always shown to me too as a compass. So the 8-pointed star, the north, south, east, west, but then it's got north, south, east, the corners, the angles in the corner too. So through the 8-pointed star is the wheel of the directions that you travel when you're in the astral bodies or in the energy grids and out of the flesh. And it was funny too that she gasped for Erica. She went so far. I've had that happen to clients for me. They stop breathing when they go so deep or so far out. So I'm glad that you had an awareness, Magenta, to know to check on your body. That was very wise and profoundly beautiful confirmation for me that we do need to kind of check over our bodies, and when we do leave, we need to set up proper protections of our guardians and our family to help us watch over our bodies if we do travel very far. So I thought that was very interesting. And then somebody in Wayne's today in chat, I can't remember their handle, but I saw them bring up the question, Lord, Loyal Order of Royal Dragons. And Magenta Pixie picked up on that too. And that's what I've always seen, is I saw that the Lord was really not the Lord, that the Lord was actually a dragon. And people would freak out if I ever said that, so I never did. But I literally saw that the Lord was literally connected to the solar construct, and the solar construct, the solar Lord, was connected to the dragon energies of this construct, because this construct appears to be, it was overtaken by Draconian. Draconian is dragon energies, but I think the dragon energies are also, there's benevolent. So as the dragon can be dark and the dragon can be good. So it's got both, just like the Lord. So I've been shown the duality in all of these beings, and that would make sense because this construct is of duality. So within this entire construct, you are going to be in duality. So this is the dualistic system. So that's why the I Ching comes from the Asian, the China lines, and the Taoist lines, and those were very connected to the dragon lines. So when you think of dragon, you got to think of from ether to physical form. So this was why we needed the serpent in the garden, because when the serpent entered into the garden, that was when the ability for the genetic codes of the templates of man to be brought down into matter. And that came through, I'm pretty sure, serpent or dragon. The dragon is our connections to the ether in the physical world. So this is like, pretty sure dragon, the dragon energies, I'm pretty sure that is how you got your soul. It's through the creation eggs of the dragon. So I was seeing this, and I was actually shown too that somehow I think the extraterrestrial beings learned how to copy this process somehow. Just like we figured out how to clone. I think they figured that out with the soul eggs. They figured out how to clone the soul eggs. So I don't know how to kind of explain that any better, but I've seen that, and I didn't really understand it that well. So dragon, the loyal order of royal dragons. The Lord. Yeah, this like made so much sense to me. I was like, wow, that is just spot on to what I was shown. Because I literally saw from the source, which literally was like a bright light with an eye. It was intelligent. It could see. It was aware, but it was like, can't get too close to it. I can't explain it. But I was seeing this bright light, but it had an eye, and it had intelligence. It could think, it could process, it had an awareness of itself. And then out of that light, through these rays, through the rays of creation, the different colors, out of that birthed the dragon energies. And they started to swirl through the universe, and they were mingling the ethers into matter, and it was bringing life into dead. Bringing life into the dead, I guess, is how I would explain what I was being shown, because the light was animating. It was bringing life. The Dan codes, the dragon codes, the etherical, magical energy codes coming down into the densest parts of matter. But it was done through these dragon energies. So then Magenta was speaking about how we need to come together and do these 3 steps, and that the 3 steps would be basically the keys to ascension. And it's exactly what I was shown. And it's like, we're all getting the same information, and it is so, I'm so grateful. So grateful. I've been processing this stuff for so long, and it is so grateful to see other people with similar conclusions and similar ideas of how to fix this problem that we're in. So the 3 steps that she gave was to identify the problem, and please all go watch this video. I'll try to put it as a link in the description below. My phone sometimes will not allow me to post and copy links. I don't know why, but it's a conundrum. So if it's not there, Magenta Pixie, the 3 steps, it's her latest video. So just go to her website, which is Magenta Pixie, and go to her videos, and it's the latest one she uploaded. And it's the 3 steps, I believe. And then the other one with Laura Eisenhower, oh man, go check that one out too. And that was a warning to the cabal or something. So it was a very brutal, beautiful, challenging title. So you'll be able to find that one pretty easy too. And boy, Laura, God, you're a beautiful soul, and thank you for being here with us at this time, and thank you for your wisdom, and thank your great-grandfather for helping you to see your way through this maze of craze. So thank you to all of you. It's my gratitude is overflow for you all. So thank you. Thank you for all of the light workers out there doing amazing work, trying to make a change in this world in these times, because this is why we came. We literally did come here for this. So her three steps were, the first one is to identify the problem. You need to understand how this matrix is working, how the governments are working, how money is created, how you were bonded at your birth, what it means to be a fiction, what it means to be a corpse, what it means to be under corporate rule, what it means to be a corporate employee, and how to get out of these contracts. And you do that with a declaration of sovereignty. So the first step is to understand what's been done. The second step is the declaration of sovereignty. You understand what's been done, and then you simply stand up and say, no, your fake imagination world that you've created and you've tricked humanity into buying, it's truly not even real if we decide it's not anymore. So I'm going to tell you right now, I don't comply to your contracts. I don't comply to the things that you've placed us under without disclosure and without full disclosure and without consideration given back. There was nothing given in return. So all contracts have to be an exchange, and there was no exchange. So there are many things that are wrong with the systems that we've been placed into and that we've been complying because we were told that we have to. That's a lie. These people that are ruling us, they don't build, they don't create, they don't do any of this. They're using us for it all because I don't think that they can. If they could, they wouldn't need us. Think about that. If they could do it on their own, they wouldn't need us. And they've worked very hard to keep us in a system where we could be controlled and used and harnessed for our energy. And the dark truths about what's been happening on this planet with consumption of children and the consumption of things regarding blood is starting to come out. And that's going to be a really hard thing for a lot of people to look at. I know it was for me. Just finding out the money system was hard. Finding out about the kids, that was really hard. Finding about the darkness that truly is on this planet with us is hard. It's hard. But when you start to see these initially, it will bring forth a very serious reaction in your body, and you need to just go through that. Honor your feelings, honor your emotions, honor your rage, honor your disbelief, honor all of it. And then you got to find a way to integrate it, and you got to work through it. And you need to understand, as much as these truths hurt, because a lot of people, guys, a lot of us in this community, we've been doing this for a while. There's a lot of people that are waking up right now, and their reality is crumbling. It's crumbling, and they're terrified, and they're seeing all this darkness in the world that was hidden from them so carefully, and now it can't be hidden anymore. So have compassion, because they're hurting. And this is going to produce shock. Okay? Shock for many. So, we need to have compassion and help them stand up when this knocks them down, because it will many. Yeah, it's hard, especially when it comes down to the religions and the stuff that's been going on with the religions, with the children and stuff. It's going to be really hard for a lot of people. So, we got to have, first of all, stand up and say, we do not comply. I no longer will comply to all of these things that you've told me that I have to comply to. You don't, if you're sovereign. You don't. And guys, it doesn't matter what they try to do to you. When you understand what you are, you understand they can't kill you. They can drop your flesh, but they can't touch what's within it. And I hate to say it. When all of us come to this understanding of what's been going on and what's been done, if they start taking us out in mass numbers, I have a feeling they're going to have to deal with our souls and our spirits. And guys, we are way more powerful when we're out of our bodies than when we're in it. So, know that. And that Laura Eisenhower had a great point when she was talking about how that the people that are doing the things that they've done, that they will be held accountable in higher courts. Oh, I've seen that. And she is spot on. And this, dear ones, from the bottom of my heart, when you find out about these things, it makes you angry and you want to kill and harm and destroy the people like they've destroyed children and lives and all these things. You want to retaliate. It's a natural reaction because we're protective. We don't want to see the things that we love be hurt. And through that desire to protect you, you get really angry. You get a lot of emotions start to come through you. But this is where you get the gift of to be able to transmute it and heal it. Because I think that we were an experiment, and to be forced into this kind of bondage and to be mingled with different species of animals and to have those attributes inside of you, which makes you very primal and makes you very human. These things that we've been mingled with, I mean, to be able to control the beast and to stand and walk as a divine while being immersed into the beast, because the animal kingdom is the beast. I mean, the beast. And that's what I mean. And when you give your power over to things that are false, that aren't true, that are not living, we are dead man walking. Your body, from the moment of its birth, it starts to count down its own destruction. It's the same thing with fiat currency. It's the same thing with our existence here in physicality. It's all the same story. You're putting your faith into things that are not real. They're not real. What's real is eternal. And this is not eternal. This is an experience. This is a experience that you're experiencing as a spiritual being. But it is not eternal. And anything that is not eternal is not real. So that's why they call this the illusion. This is the great dream. The dream of Maya. So, this is how you get to the end part, which is the most important part, and this is how we win. This is literally how we win. The prophet of that child, she told me, we were going to turn Satan into the greatest source of love ever known throughout the universe. How do you think that you could turn Satan into love? By looking at the darkness in Satan and knowing that that was an option that needed to be played within this field of finding your way back home through the matrix of matter and being engulfed in the serpent, in the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. You're stuck within the cell, the cellular walls that keep you bound into the ground that you now think is real. They're not. It's an illusion. You're animating this body, but the body will drop and you will continue to be. And you need to protect your own being and know the value of what you are. Know the value of your soul. Because the soul is like a beautiful, it's like a cloud, a diamond of wisdom. It's like a fractured, condensed part of source expressing all the different facets or faces of you. So throughout these different facets and these different facets that we are looking at and experiencing as a whole, the ones that are expressing in the service to self and the ones that got caught up in the material world and the promises of the material things, when the material is destroyed, there will be nothing left for them. So this, in essence, will be the worst hell that could ever be imagined. So when you can imagine that through their own creation and their own diving into darkness, that the end effect of that will be utter hell for them as a creator being. So when you think about for them to come into that and express that is the only way that you could have come back to see your own light. If they wouldn't have served the contrast of darkness, you would have never been able to find your light. If they wouldn't have abused the systems of contracts to the level of which they've done, you would have never seen the way out. This is how you heal. It's through the integration. You have to see how it ultimately benefited you. And then you can truly look at these people and say, thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. And I feel so much compassion for what you now might face through their own works. Their own works. So, this is how you can heal and see such darkness and literally love it and forgive it and pray that it's going to be okay. So this is the key, and this is how we win. And when Satan and darkness and evil gets flooded with our love and our compassion and our forgiveness and our gratitude, because if they wouldn't have shown us this dark, we would have never been able to see the light. So this is how it works here. It truly does in the matrix of duality. So, Magenta, Pixie, R. Wayne Steiger, Laura Eisenhower, Jay Campbell. There's such a list of all these people that are trying to make a difference and do beautiful things. Milky Way Messenger. There's just this family. I see so many different lines starting to come together as one heart. And we'll never think the same, and we'll never travel down the exact same paths of exploration and discovery. But we just need to support each other in all of our different paths and all of our different ways and come together with one focus, and that is to unify the collective whole in harmony and love and light. That we do now have to integrate all of the darkness so we can heal it and we can forgive it and we can transmute it through love, and that we can understand that the beings that have participated in this part of this matrix, pray for them, because they might be going down some paths that we cannot even potentially imagine. And because service to self, it has its own roads, its own outcomes, but eventually all does return back to the source. So no matter what, this is why you say, do not judge. You do not understand the game. You do not understand how it is being played. And if the parts weren't necessary within the game, they wouldn't be there. So without the contrast, without the opposition, you could never find your way home. So this is how we can find thank you in all of the darkness that's being exposed. But like I said, first of all, you got to understand what it is, how it got there, who, what, when, where, and why. And then after that, you have to figure out, how can I express my sovereignty? How am I going to stand up for what I believe about my own being and my own rights and my own eternal existence and my property and my body? And like me, it's like, I do not comply. I do not comply to vaccinations. I do not comply to the contracts that were placed upon my body at the time of my birth. I do not consent to the violation of my right to choose my own way of being and living as long as it does not harm another. I do not consent to slavery, abuse, genocide, eugenics, sex trafficking, child sacrifice, child harvesting, organ harvesting, or anything that steals the essence or life or sovereignty of another being. I do not comply. I do not comply to pharmacia, and I do not comply to microchipping. So that's a foundation of where many of us want to start. And that's just the beginning of mine. And it goes much further than that. And it goes into a lot of other things. But this is something you want to do for yourself, using your own words, your own heart, your own intuition, and your own guidance. And you claim the rights to your own being back through your own power and your own will and your own invocation. And I promise you, if we do this together, guys, we might be able to heal the greatest source of evil and turn it into the greatest source of love. Because you must remember, even Satan, the opposite side of Satan, is going to be Christ. The opposites are the absolute perfect opposites. So you're going to see in every single being exists that polarity. It exists within you. It exists within me. We all are dual in nature. We exist both. But this is the thing. Part of the soul's evolution is how would you choose? When you were cut off from understanding how things work, and you were cut off from remembering your eternal being, how would you choose when you were given ultimate free will. That's why there is really no judgments here. This is the planet of free will. This is where you test your own ground. So the judge is you. You came here to test yourself. So you will judge yourself. So if you're caught up on judgment of others, be careful, because that's where you will fall upon your own sword. Don't judge others. Be grateful that they're showing you a different contrast, and thank God that you didn't sign up for that part, you know. Some people want to sign up for those parts, obviously, because they're doing it. They're participating in it. So they'll deal with the effects of their own creation as a creator being, as are we. So we need to come together and do this. Remember what we are. Remember what we are fighting for. Remember what we came here to stop. And remember what we came here to be. And that was about, we came here to change the world, to bring heaven to earth. And that would be through us activating our own power and our own divinity and initiating that through sovereignty. And through that sovereignty, we heal. And through that healing, we turn one of the greatest sources of darkness into the greatest source of love ever seen throughout all of physicality. So, I love you, warriors. I'm so grateful that you're here on this ride, and we're here together. We're finding each other, and we're connecting as one community with a common focus. And that is to bring a better future here for the children of the earth. So I love you. Namaste. And may favor and love shine forth from you all and touch everything that you love. So see you on the next one. Bye.